So I get these types of comments more often than you'd think, basically ridiculing my business because it sells slime. And while I do understand that in the public eye, slime may not be the most complex of products, it takes a lot more work than you think. First of all, I'm a kid, not a grown man, just to clear the air. And just because my product may not be what you deem to be mature or authentic doesn't mean my business is easy. There are so many things that every single business has to do regardless of what the product is. For a moment, let's forget about all the work I put into thinking of ideas and making my products, even though that's still a lot of work. I had to build my website, take all the pictures you see on my website, write all the dialogue on my website, and import each product's information. I also package hundreds of orders every week, which is a lot more time consuming than you probably imagine it to be, all while going to high school from 7:30 to 3:30 every day. So yes, I understand that you think I just pour glue and borax into the machine and charge $10 for it, but I assure you that it's a lot more complicated than I make it appear to be on TikTok.
Am I the asshole for dropping my freeloading brother off at our aunt's house after she called and scolded me for evicting him? My older brother is a bit of a bum. It's mean to say, but it's true. He can never hang on to a job for longer than a couple of years max, and when he inevitably loses whatever job he had, he starts mooching off family and friends until he can find another job, months later. This entails him freeloading at their place, eating their food, using their stuff, etc. He's lost friends because of how long he bummed off of them, and I don't blame them for cutting him off. Well, this last time he lost his job, he went to our parents, but they didn't have room because they were letting our eldest brother's family stay with them after he and sister-in-law lost their jobs out of nowhere within the same month. EB's entire crew was laid off with zero warning and SIL's work burned down, and they couldn't afford the home they were renting anymore. So OB was pretty much SOL. So our parents, aunt, and uncle all started calling me, asking if I'd take him in just long enough so he could get on his feet again. I, stupidly, let myself feel bad for him and said okay, but he only had a few months to get another job, or he was out on the street. They all said of course, and so he came to stay with me. And it was a nightmare. He's a slob. He never washes dishes, never washes his clothes, and eats pretty much whatever he wants. I guess since I'm his little sister, he figured he could ignore me saying to get his shit together. Well, after 6 months, I told him he had to go, and gave him a couple weeks to find somewhere else. Well, it seems he called our parents and cried about me kicking him out, and they told him he knew he couldn't stay forever, But they also, of course, called my aunts and uncle and told them all about it. And my busybody aunt called me and scolded me for being cruel to my brother and abandoning family when they need help. I let her talk and finally said she was right. Helping family was important, and I'm glad she showed me that. She seemed glad I understood the right thing to do before hanging up. So I followed her advice and packed my bro up and drove him to her house. I couldn't take care of him anymore. He was running all my bills up. But my aunt made a good point. Families should help each other. So I dropped him off there. She has room since all her kids moved out and then left. But I wasn't even halfway home before I was getting multiple calls from my parents and aunt. Parents were demanding to know why our aunt was blowing up their phones, and aunt was leaving voicemails shouting at me to come back and get my brother. I explained to my parents, and they said it was a good idea since aunt sounded like she wanted to help. But my aunt called me an asshole and said she didn't want my brother there. And when I told her family helps each other, she called me a cunt. Last I checked, he's still living with her. Am I the asshole?